Good evening, everybody. About 2 minutes early, but that's beautiful. Man, y'all chatting it up. I absolutely, to the Patreon members, thank you so much. You give my Hello Somebody team, you give us the opportunity to participate in this podcast world, and we are so thankful to you. You will see some of my team is here with me. So we have production team of Tina, Joelle, Anna's in the house too. There may be others. So when you see them, they might dip in a little bit here and there. But so glad to do this. Oh my God, you guys, because of you. Can everybody hear me? Somebody give me a hello, somebody. Hey, hello, somebody. Because of you all. Hello, Somebody is one of the fastest growing podcasts in the country. And we're even international too. So that is a beautiful thing. We have other countries outside of the United States of America, other people who are supporting our efforts at Hello Somebody. Could not have done that without you, our Patreon members. So that's why we're here. I'm a member too. I have to invest as well. Hello, somebody. So, oh my, this is so wonderful. So, hey, let's get started. So I know some people started asking questions early on, but let's go on and get this started again. Oh, thank you, Cameron. I want to shout out folks as I see them in the chat. I appreciate you all too. You know, lots of things are going on right now. I want to talk about the Supreme Court justice. Other folks weigh in. Let us know what you want to talk about. It doesn't have to just be about politics. Maybe it shouldn't just be about politics. We have other things that we can talk about, other contours to our life. Heavy time, though. It's kind of hard not to talk about politics. Kind of hard not to talk about what happened to Breonna Taylor, that the fact that not one of those police officers were charged in her murder at all. And what does that mean? Not just for Breonna Taylor and her family, but what does that mean about American society as a whole? What does that mean about the value of Black lives? Hence, Black Lives Matter. And if we distill it down even more, what does that mean about the value of Black women's lives? Hello, somebody. So a lot, oh my God, a lot is going on. So here we go. Hello, Tony, Caitlin, Portland, Oregon here. We need reason and love here in a bad way. I know, Caitlin, that is all over the country. I would be remiss if I didn't say anything about the fires that are brewing in the West, and change has got to happen. We definitely have to take care of Mother Earth. She is sick, and she is sick because of us, because of what we have done. And we can't wait a long time to do this. And so what is happening in places like California and Washington State, just in the West, is having an impact in other places because we all breathe the same air. Ultimately, nobody's going to be able to escape this. And it's just one example. So between the wildfires and the hurricanes and other natural disasters that are happening throughout the world, human beings are not doing the right thing. And so this is a proposition that we all have to deal with. This is not just something that the United States can deal with. We need world leaders, and everybody in the world has a role to play to fix the mess that we have created when it comes to dumping on literally Mother Earth and just treating it like it doesn't matter. There's an ecosystem here, and we have disrupted that system, and it is going to have an impact, not just on us today. It will have impact on children too young to know what the hell is going on. It's going to have an impact on our animals, on our plant life. The entire ecosystem is being messed up. I'm not going to curse. I won't say I'm not going to curse at all tonight, but I'm going to try to ease on into the cursing. I do curse. So Patreon members, just know a sister can say a word. I can twist a phrase here or there. Yes, I can. Okay. Kate. Oh, yeah. So don't forget, as Anna said, don't forget to drop your questions here. We got Kate. She says, I love you and your power. Would you talk about stepping up to volunteer with Governor Ventura? His candidacy is real, and he is organizing with $0 and needs you. Love your fashion. Thank you. Look, y'all better go on and get some Hello Somebody gear. Yes, baby. Okay, working it out. And then that's Badass Nina behind me. I want to thank Bolt 49. If you are on Instagram, please go show them some love. I know my lighting is kind of in her, but this right here, this Badass Nina, all the way. I am really inspired by the people who create art using my image. How humbled that I am. Now, as far as Governor Ventura, Kate, I didn't know he was running. Since when? We did the People's Summit together. His was recorded, so he actually wasn't live, but big ups to the governor. I didn't know he was running this time. So thank you, Kate, for letting me know that. How is that not widely known? I thought he was not running this time around. Misty, Nina, I know how actively involved you are with the movement for a People's Party. How can I get even more involved? I am looking to open a chapter in Charlotte, North Carolina. Misty, please go to thepeoplesparty.org, and on their website, there is a link to an email, and you can email that team and let them know that you want to get involved and you want to open a chapter where you live. They are going to be overjoyed to hear that. So the people movement for a peoplesparty.org. Anime, look that up for me, put that in the chat. Make sure I'm giving the right email address. I believe it is a People's Party, peoplesparty.org. And they have a way to communicate with them via email. Anna's going to get that in and she'll put it in the chat for you. Thank you for that, Misty. Hold on. So this is our first time doing this. It won't be our last time. So let me go back. I know I've missed some people. Walter, so I spoke with your husband and he had some interest. Walter, you sure that was my husband you spoke to? Oh, just joking with you, Walter. Okay. Jonah, you're a vital voice, and I imagine the weight bearing down on you from establishment bureaucrats is often disheartening and discouraging, but working people everywhere have your back. Thank you, Jonah. I really do appreciate it. Yes, very heavy times. Often I am a target on social media, as you know. Black women trust black women lead unless they have a mind of their own and don't obey neoliberals. So yes, I am a target often. And people like myself and Brianna Joy Gray, when it comes to don't say bad things about black women like us because we're on the left, we really don't count. It's truly unfortunate. But I want to thank not just the members who are here tonight, but there's an entire group of people on the progressive left, especially the Bernie-crats, who come to my rescue often. And I just want to thank you guys so much for doing that. Yes, it is heavy. It is daunting. But I press on anyway because my mission is bigger than the haters. Hello, somebody. Oh, yeah, it's bigger than the haters. And as my son said to me when he was a lot younger, he's still a young man, he's a millennial, but he was a lot younger and watching his mom catch a lot of hell for taking principled positions and standing up for what I believe in, whether other people were with me or not. I will never forget these words. He said, Mama, every superhero needs a villain. Come on now. Hello, somebody. Every superhero needs a villain. Now, that was a word. So oftentimes when I am in those moments, I remember the words of my son. I also draw upon scripture. Many of you know that my mom, who died at the young age of 42 years old, she was a minister, she was a preacher. And so my siblings and I had to go to church 8 days a week. I often joke when I'm having my lighter moments. So I definitely turn to my faith in a very spiritual way. And then I absolutely love quotes. Maybe somebody can share with me one of their favorite quotes. But thank you for that, Jonah, for putting that out there. Oh yeah, the haters are always there. But as my baby said, every superhero who needs a villain, baby. So Sister Turner, I got a whole bunch of villains on my back. But I thank you guys. Let's see. Albie, one, would you talk about faith and the struggle for justice? And is there a place for faith in politics with regards to Amy Coney Barrett? Okay, somebody enlighten me on Amy Coney Barrett. But to answer that question in general, yeah, absolutely, there's a place for faith. Always a place for faith. And I know there are some people who are atheists or agnostic. I get that. I respect whatever path people have chosen. But I am a woman of faith, and I do believe that there is a place for faith, a place for spirituality, a place for love, like a universal love. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to it as the beloved community. You'll certainly hear Dr. West refer to it in that way as well. So it's an altruism that should be out there, human being to human being. So whether or not you subscribe to a particular faith, the universal principles of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. See, that's why we messed up right now in our politics and how we deal with the environment, how we deal with each other. because we're really not taking that golden rule to heart. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Hello. And then also from the evangelical side, one of the things that I often ponder is how is it people on the left, and when I say left, I'm just talking generically, like the evangelicals tend to lean on the right side of the political ledger, but there are Christians and Buddhists and Jewish folks and people of other faiths, like a spirituality, on the left, but oftentimes we don't express it in that way. And the evangelicals have become a very strong and powerful voting bloc on the right. And so I don't believe that people of faith should cede territory to our sisters and brothers on the right. I happen to believe that many of them are not, and I'm going to use my faith tradition. What would Jesus do? Jesus, I believe, would believe in Medicare for all. Hello, somebody. Not for all who choose, not for all who can afford, just flat out having healthcare is a moral right. What would Jesus do? I believe he would believe in the Green New Deal and say that we must be better stewards, good stewards of Mother Earth. And so the things that the progressive left is pushing, standing for, regardless of individuals, is the right thing. It is the morally right thing to do. It doesn't make us perfect, but 99% of what we're standing for benefits humanity. So when you ever want to know whether or not you are on the right side in terms of doing what's right, measure it against the impact to humanity. Hello, somebody. That's when you know. So thank you for that. Lord have mercy. Let me go down. Anna Mae, I don't know where I'm at on this. Tina, let's see. Oh, okay. Mindy Mitchell, thank you so much. Oh, Lord, I done lost you, Mindy. Here you go. Mindy, thank you for this. Amy Coney Barrett, her judicial philosophy has been likened to that of her mentor and former boss. Oh, her. Yes. Okay, I'm with you. I got you. Now, yes, I did know that name. People can bring their faith into the space, but I don't think they should necessarily use it against. In other words, in my Christian tradition, I was taught that abortion was murder, for example. Growing up in the Black church, that's what it was called. And some people in the church, whether it's Black church or not, still subscribe to that. So that's how I was raised. As a legislator, when I served in the Ohio Senate, I didn't legislate that way. Is that making sense to people? So if you're using that in a way to oppress and suppress, it's not the way to go. But it's not a bad thing for people to have faith, to have a belief. I do. I just don't use it in a way that hinders somebody else's free will and their ability to live their life. As long as you live in your life, don't impede on somebody else. Hey, we okay. Yes, Mindy, thank you for reminding me of that. I know exactly who she is. I was not necessarily familiar with her faith tradition. I got that. I mean, these evangelicals, they're not playing. So that's why we do need people on the left to bring some faith to this and really talk about what Jesus would really do. Justin, Jesus would hang out with the prostitutes and feed the hungry and heal the sick and spread compassion. There it is, Justin. That's the Jesus I believe in. The one that tore up the money changers. He went all up into the space and turned the tables over. That's the Jesus I believe in and I subscribe to. So thank you for that, Justin. Tina put up, Tina's my producer, everybody. Tina wants DP's 2325. I want my mom to run for office. Do you have any advice I can give her? We love you so much. Sending love back to you and to your mom. Mom, just do it, baby. Just do it. What's the problem? Create you a little T-chart. What are the pros? What are the cons? And what's holding you back? That's it. And if the pros outweigh the cons, you should go ahead and do it. Your community needs you. Take good counsel. Have a kitchen cabinet, if you will. Those are people who will help to advise you along the journey because you can't do it by yourself. But you should run. If you don't have any good reason not to, know the purpose by which you are running for, why you're running. I always tell people who seek office first to decide what is the purpose. Why are you running? You got to get that steady in your heart. You got to know what is your conviction for running. And then after that, just do it. Mom, just get on out there and do the thing. Thank you for that, Tina. Run. We need good people running who's going to serve good people and not forget where the hell they came from. Hello, somebody. Okay. Oh, y'all still on that potential appointee. Katrina said apparently she told law school students that their law degrees are a means to the end of creating the kingdom of God. I would have to figure out what she meant in that context. I want to give you an example. There was a law professor at Howard University, and he taught Thurgood Marshall, Justice Thurgood Marshall. His name is Charles Hamilton Houston. And I don't have his entire quote memorized, but he would say to African-American law students that they had an obligation to serve their people. And if they didn't do that, they were parasites. Now, he didn't necessarily frame what he said in total spiritual or religious terms. But when I interpret that obligation is bigger than just the degree. And what he was saying is because of the suffering that the African-American community endures, that law students, not exclusively, not only, but you are in law school, not just to enrich yourself, but to stand up for your community. And if you don't do that, you are a parasite. So, I don't want to judge I don't want to judge her too harshly on that kind of stuff because I need more context. You know what I mean? Jonah, I love and respect all spirituality, but during one speech, you directly addressed atheists, which was so unexpected and personal to me. Oh my God, that I cried. That never happens before. Thank you, Jonah. I try. Listen, Sister Turner, not perfect, but I do understand everybody doesn't see the world the way that I see it, and I do try to encompass all people and all walks of life as much as I can. You making me tear up a little bit because that's important. We got to recognize that. And just because somebody doesn't think the way that you think or feel the way that you feel, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, it's okay to have that dialogue one to another. Stephen Covey, he's one of the renowned leadership experts in the world, certainly in the country. There's a quote of his that I love. Y'all know I'm a quote machine. Is anybody sharing any quotes with me, Tina and Anna? Push them up for me. I got to get those quotes because I love quotes. But, he one of his quotes, it's seek first to understand and then to be understood. And if we just did a little more of that, just a little more of that, the world would be a better place. That's not a big leap. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. Beautiful thing. All right, I'm coming down because I went back up a little bit. Or at least I think I'm scrolling down. Hold your horses. I think I'm stuck. My screen is frozen. Okay, unless there's nothing else to answer. Hold on, let me turn to my trusty phone to see if the team has sent me anything. So put your questions in. Please put your questions in. Let's go ahead and keep this going. I will scroll back up for things I've missed while people are thinking of things. Let's see. Caitlin, now you're cracking me up right now. Caitlin, I went up, so maybe I couldn't go back down. I went up, so Caitlin said no longer a Bernie crack, definitely a Turner trooper. Love it. Turn it up with Turner, baby. That's what we're gonna do. We can be both. I love it. Let me see. Anna Mae had sent me something. Let's see. You guys, this is our first time doing this, so bear with us. Oh, Danny. Oh, yeah, Danny Moses. So Black America is more engaged throughout and not just voting for the candidates Clyburn, Obama, or other so-called Black leaders in the community tell them to vote for during election time. It's okay to have people that you admire, and so you care about what they may have to say about an issue, even when it comes to voting. But ultimately, it is our responsibility to make the final decision. And no, you don't blindly follow anybody, not even me. That's real. You have to make the decision. But seeking wise counsel is okay. Seeking to find out what some people you may admire have to say or believe about this issue or that issue is okay. But no, you don't blindly follow anybody. And if you have a different thought and a different belief than that person, that's okay too. So Danny, I hope that answered. You said you called them so-called leaders. I know where you're going with that. I got you. Okay. Margaret, do you think the Democratic Party is redeemable? How can a third party run not produce a spoiler effect in our two-party system? And she put in parentheses, a Republican victory would say a 40-state run still motivate people. I mean, we know that third parties exist in the country, contrary to what popular opinion is. It is very hard to be a third party candidate in this country because that's the way the system is set up. My respect for a movement, for a people's party, and for some of you probably attended the virtual convention on August the 30th. They've been working since 2017. I have a lot of respect for what they're trying to do. At some point, we have to make a decision in this country. What we do know is that both major parties are controlled by corporatists, and that's just not working. So we, the people of the United States of America, have to make a decision. Particularly on the Democratic side, you have some people who believe, it's my party, some progressives, it's my party, and I cry if I want to. That's a song. Meaning they're going to stay in and force the party further left. You have some people who are so fed up with the empty promises, the platitudes, never really delivering, just slightly better than the Republicans, except for the foolishness that this neo-fascist is doing right now, Mr. Trump. You all know I said we got two dragons to slay, and I mean that. The dragon of neo-fascism and neoliberalism. We must do that, but I digress. So going back to what you're asking, at some point a decision has to be made. Are we going to keep playing games with the two corporatist parties? Because that's what they are. They're controlled by the corporatist wings of both parties. Or are we going to, one, have some other options? And in order for those options to get strong and to grow, people have to lean to those options. I understand what you're saying, that if they don't get on the ballot or they're not strong enough, it could end up, I won't say spoiler, because this is a representative democracy. And so we shouldn't necessarily use the language of the two major parties. And I am a member of one of those major parties and run every election as a Democrat. But I'm upset right now because I don't like to see people suffering so. And to know that when you run for office that you're holding the people's power, what is your damn obligation? To say to corporations, you can't have it all. That's all we're saying. And that if your ability to make profit, now I know some people on here say down with capitalism, I get it. My dear friend Michael Render, aka Killer Mike, says we should move to a compassionate capitalism. I know that there's some people who believe that capitalism could never be compassionate. That's up for debate. But there are some people like the Ben Cohens and Ben Jerry's of the world. If you look at the model, they don't own that company right now, but at the model that they created when they created that corporation. Ben and Jerry, they started Ben and Jerry's with $12,000. That company still has what I would call a corporate compassionate model that was built and born through its founders. It didn't happen by accident. It happened on purpose. And so we need more people to not only create businesses in that way, but we got to challenge these folks. It doesn't have to be the way that it is. So again, if the way you make your money ultimately hurts people, then you really need to rethink your position. If the way that you govern ultimately hurts people, does not provide for people, then you got to rethink government. If the way we comport ourselves as individuals hurt people, then we need to rethink our positioning as basic. Again, doing to others as you would have them doing to you. So I don't vote shame, I don't party shame. I leave that to the professionals. But I understand exactly what you're saying. But in order to get that kind of strength to be able to take on ultimately the two major parties, you got to start somewhere. Got to challenge. I wish the Democratic Party would finally just stand up and be the people's party, be the party of the people. But it's not, especially when it comes to the federal level. It's just not. The state level, just not. And I'm talking about the whole totality of it. It's not. When you can't even get Medicare for all in your platform. The platform is aspirational. You don't even have to commit to it. That tells you that something is wrong. When you can't even get the legalization of cannabis in the platform that's not binding, something is wrong. So we the people have lots of work to do, and I'm going to leave it up to the people to decide what the hell they really want to do. But I don't shame people. I try to seek first to understand and then to be understood most of the damn time. Now, I'm not perfect either. I got something from Tim Horton. What do you think a sensible strategy for investing more in pre-college education might be? First of all, Tim, very good question. As you know, our campaign was pushing just a total overhaul of the education system itself from pre-K to college. It is a damn shame that people have to go broke still paying off student loans well into their 60s, depending on what type of job you're blessed to get or not get throughout your life after you walk across the stage. The fact that the federal government props up this extortion, because that's what it is. We need a paradigm shift in this country. And so from the womb to the tomb, we need to make investments. That is what the 21st century demands. So college for all. Forgive that student debt. Yes. Doing that would help so many people across the board, no matter their walk of life. But if I may use the African American community as an example, that Black women carry the largest amount of debt. Black students in general, debt higher over the long haul, over the life of the loan. A lot of that is linked to generational wealth. Do you have it or you didn't have it? What type of job you go into once you leave college? That kind of stuff is done on purpose. The federal government guarantees when you default, if you default on the loan, there's a guarantee to these banks. That exploitation, extortion is built into the system. There is no reason why it should be that way. We are a hegemon nation. The 21st century economy, the globe, it demands. We are beyond just a K through 12. We must go pre-K to college, again, from the womb to the tomb. And why would not we want to make those kinds of investments and treat college in terms of how we pay for it as a social contract one to another, so people are not walking across the stage with a degree in one hand and debt in the other? Just makes no damn sense, and enriching these banks that are ripping off folks makes no sense. And I've met people across the country who either could not afford to send their kids to college, or I've talked to young people who did not want to burden their parents with that, so said, I can't afford to go to college. You're creating a two-tier system. Doesn't need to be that way. Shouldn't be that way. Can I give you another example? The military-industrial complex. And if you will, if you are on Twitter, I want you to go follow Drop the Mic 2020. Drop the Mic 2020. So it's a project that Ben Cohen has been working on for a very long time. And I've been helping him, over the last 4 to 6 months to elevate and lift this up. But let me draw your attention to something. The 2019 discretionary budget was about $1.19 trillion. Trillion with a T, sisters and brothers. Yes. 61%. So that damn budget, where did it go? Not to the enlisted men and women. Not 61% of it. Might be a little slice in there, but 61% of the budget goes to the military-industrial complex, contractors. That's about $720 billion with a B. Hello, somebody. So don't tell me that we don't have the money and the resources to put towards universal education across the board from pre-K to college. We do have the money to do it. But whether or not these politicians have the will to do it, that becomes the question, sisters and brothers. It's not a lack question. It's a willingness question. It's a balls question. Don't get me started. No, get me started. Okay, let's go. Anime. Oh, okay, we got Danielle Butler. I'm a single mom of a 9-year-old girl. Do you have any tips on how we keep our kids informed without putting too much of the world on their shoulders? She is perceptive, and I try to answer her honestly. Well, Danielle, that's the first thing. Answering your baby honestly just made me smile. You should have a conversation with Danielle about what's going on in the world, but have it at her level. So you're right. We don't want to put pressure on the babies. They're already going to have to grow up and deal with this world as it is. But I would answer her questions and then just steer her, if it's a negative topic or one that, you don't want her to marinate on, just guide her back to something more positive. The best thing that parents can do for their children and grandparents and people who are helping to be surrogate mamas and daddies and aunties and uncles, just let them know that they are the light of the world, reinforcing them who they are. Help them to understand their purpose at a very young age, because the world is going to try to turn them around. Affirm their worth. No matter what walk of life, affirm your baby's worth. No matter what the world has to say about them, mama gonna love you. Daddy's going to love you. Grandma is going to love you. Auntie's going to love you. I love you. I think Reverend Jesse Jackson said it best. I am somebody. You pour that into them. Oh my God. You know what? You're making me want to share a story. Oh Lord. You're making me want to share a story. I remember my grandmother, who is deceased, and she was born in 1915, and she only had a 3rd grade education. And a lot of you had the opportunities to hear my speeches all over the country. I always tell the 3 bones story. I will end tonight's session with the 3 bones story because I'm kind of feeling grandma. But Danielle, my grandmother had mother wit. And in the African-American community, that is like a wisdom you can't buy. It ain't no book knowledge wisdom. It's just innate in you, just mother wit. One of the wisest, most smartest women I've ever known, even though she did not have a formal education. She couldn't read or write, a daughter of the South, obviously. And we know for her being a Black woman, being born in 1915, don't get me started, One of the things she would say to her grandchildren was to be the best. And if you can't be the best, be close to the best. Get next to the best. Be so close to the best that nobody can tell the difference. And that's what we tell our babies. Be the best. And no matter what kind of circumstances they have to navigate. Some people have higher mountains to climb, but be the best. Inform them and show it in your actions and your deeds that you love them no matter what. That's what we need. And yes, no, we're not going to burden our babies with the bull. Another thing my grandmother used to say, you got a little while to be a child and a long time to be grown. I remember I used to always say to my grandmother, I can't wait to be grown. When things are not going your way as a child. Grandma, smart, baby. You don't want none of that. You have a long time. She would say you got a long time to be grown, but a little while to be a child. And boy, as an adult, I certainly get it. I didn't necessarily understand it then, but I sure enough, as she would say, understand it now. So let's love on our babies. We're not going to lie to them, but we will talk to them about age-appropriate stuff. So, Sister Butler, I hope that helped. Okay, let me see what else the team has for me. Okay, we got Danielle. Okay, Hannah Jameson. Can the half a bowl of... Oh, yes. actually be pushed left. How do we push Biden for progressive policy? It feels pretty bleak at this moment. I know it does, Hannah. I know. It does. I'm not going to fool with it. It really does. This is a hard moment for us. I want you to think of it, and one of the progressive podcast folks, Danielle Butler, put it this way, that we gotta, you gotta vote for or support the person you want to fight against. President Trump is just that bad. I will be the first to say that we do have bad options in 2020, no doubt about it. President Donald J. Trump is a clear and present danger, and he's a fascist. I mean, he just said, was it yesterday, that he don't know if he's going to honor the results. What? One thing I say about him, he's consistent, and he lets us know where he stands, even though he's wrong most of the time. You can't have somebody in the office of the presidency who's just flat out decided, I'm not going. If the results go my way, they were correct. If they don't go my way, they were wrong. Something is wrong with that. So this is hard. I know for some voters harder than others in terms of the progressive movement standing on values and not on personalities. Senator Bernie Sanders was the spark, but we're the fire. And it's very clear, and that's what a lot of neoliberals don't understand, that it wasn't just the messenger for our movement, it was the message. And that message doesn't change. And that's why it is so hard for progressives just not rolling over, gonna make some damn demands. But we do have to understand, and we have to understand, I won't put a but to it, we have to understand or seek to understand the situation that we are in. It is our goal to push him further left should he win. Absolutely. And we should be in the streets day one. No honeymoon. No, I like you so much, I'm not going to challenge you. Time out for liking politicians so much that you're not going to challenge them. We do that as Americans. And we put elected officials on pedestals that they don't necessarily deserve to be put on. No superstars, no rock stars. We don't need rock stars. We need public servants. And you got to challenge people, even if you like them, even if you love them, even if you admire them. All of those things are okay because it's part of human nature to admire. But you don't put politicians so much on a pedestal that you don't critique them and challenge them. And it's okay to challenge them. Either they're going to stand up for the people or they're not. Either you're going to do the job or you are not. You owe the people a report. It's not the other way around. But this boggles my mind. This moment that we're in, where you got folks acting like that you, the voter, have to worship at the altar of the damn politician. It's the other way around. You know why it's the other way around? I'm glad you asked. It's the other way around because it's your power. It's the other way around because it's your tax dollars. So when you got politicians talking about what they can't afford and what they are not going to pay for, you got to step back and say, hold on, wait a minute, sister. Hold on, wait a minute, brother. It's not your damn money. It's not your power. And particularly on the federal level, not only on the federal level, but it's because we are bombarded with messages about what's happening on the federal level more than the state and regional and local levels of government. We tend to be more attuned to what is happening there. And when they stand up and talk about what we can't afford, what we cannot afford is business as usual. So while all of these administrations, to some extent or another, have given tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country, meanwhile, back at the ranch, so many don't have much, and so few have too damn much. Don't tell me what we cannot do, what we cannot have. We are a hegemon nation, meaning we are the boss nation. So we can't afford Medicare for all. We can't afford not to have it. 92 million people either uninsured or underinsured. Why do we continue to commodify healthcare in the United States of America? Why is it in the face of a damn pandemic? You don't have folks, both Democrats and Republicans, but especially Democrats saying, hey, I might not have agreed with Medicare for all at the beginning of the election cycle. But because so many people are suffering, hey, we got to do a new thing. Your money, your power. So in summation on this point, it's okay to admire. It's okay to like. It's okay even to love politicians. But when you get to the point where other folks telling you if you speak the truth, you hurting somebody, and I'm talking about the truth about their record, not going personal on people, then something is wrong with that. When people got to bully you to vote for somebody, something is wrong with that. When we are so in love with a politician that we don't see the failings, something is wrong with that. Hello, somebody. Let me see what Anna Mae got for me. Oh, we did that one. I think I did all of them. Oh, let me see. Oh, okay. The Three Stooges. Here we go. You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. Malcolm X. You better talk about that. Let me go and do that one more time. The Three Stooges put out, quoting Minister Malcolm X, you can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he, I'm going to put she in there, has their freedom. There it is. Can't have it. That's it. You know what, Three Stooges, you reminded me of something. I did. I read this poem by Langston Hughes at the People's Convention. And I'm just feeling this thing in my soul. I'm still feeling it. So I want to share it with you guys. Patreon, baby, let me just tell y'all how much you are loved. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for your investment. And you make it possible for us to have Hello Somebody podcast. So Brother Langston Hughes wrote this poem. It was in the 1930s. And this is it. This is for the kids who die. And I want you to kind of sub in kids for adults. This is for the kids who die. Black and white. For kids will die certainly. The old and the rich will live on a while, as always, eating blood and gold, letting kids die. Kids will die in the swamps of Mississippi, organizing sharecroppers. Kids will die in the streets of Chicago, organizing workers. Kids will die in the orange groves of California, telling others to get together. Whites and Filipinos, Negroes and Mexicans, all kinds of kids will die who don't believe in lies and bribes and contentment and a lousy peace. We just not going to go for a lousy peace anymore. Period. Period. Dot. No more lousy peace. Go on, Brother Langston Hughes. He broke that down. That poem, Kids Will Die. More to it, but those are the highlights of it. So that the Three Stooges, the quote for Brother Malcolm X, that made me think about it. There it is. Okay, we got Danny. How can we go about educating more of Black America on left ideology so we have the numbers to actually influence elections? Do we start Black nationalist organizations? Danny, what a great question. There's a new organization that just started called Our Black Party. If you go to ourblackparty.org, and those young sisters and brothers, and seasoned, but young sisters and brothers are doing the daggone thing, and very much in the spirit of what you just put, Danny. We have to educate or have a conversation with the African American community, all communities for that matter, but you asked specifically about the African American community. I believe that Black folks were the original progressives. We might not call it that. And I'm going to tell you why, because I'm glad you asked. You don't get no more progressive than fighting for your life and your liberation. Literally, fighting for your life and your liberation. Sister Turner, you going back to slavery? You damn right I am. Yeah, that's where I'm going. It don't get no more progressive than that. When you consider and think about fighting against the status quo, for real, fighting for your life and your livelihood for yourself and your kids and your kids' kids, for real? Oh no, that's progressivism. or in what I think speaks to the Black soul, liberation, fighting against an institution of slavery. Not just one that you had to navigate if you were among our first African ancestors and then their descendants born in this country, making them African American. Don't get no more progressive than that. The raid on Harper's Ferry, Nat Turner. It doesn't get any more progressive than that. And so we got to go back to our roots and the essence of our liberation struggle, because our existence. Hold on, Patreon. My husband is calling me. Hold on. Hey, I'm live. What you need? Yep, I'm live. I'm doing Patreon live right now, thanking the members who invest in Hello Somebody. And so I told them to hold on because you were calling. No, I did not. They never picked up. Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye. This is live TV, ladies and gentlemen. So where was I? Yes, it doesn't get more progressive than that. So Danny, I think we got to have conversations in our community. Let me give you another example. I mean, Fannie Lou Hamer, the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party, or Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. That was poor Blacks and whites in Mississippi who were fed up with the Democratic Party, and they said, we ain't gonna take it no more, we'll form our own. That was progressive. They did that. And so we got to go back to our tradition and to our roots. We are the originators of liberation, what it looks like to fight for liberation. Generation after generation, that's what we did. And so even beyond slavery, to the Reconstruction, having to navigate Black codes and Jim Crow, redlining, police brutality, you name it. We are progressive. We just have to be reminded. And so maybe progressive, maybe that word is not the love language for the African American community. I'd be interested if anybody has any thoughts or ideas of what it is. I think it's liberation myself. But there it is. We got to have those conversations with one to another, and let's do this thing. Because you're right. If the Black community decides a different thing, the Democratic Party will have to get right. If we decide, and it's not that we don't have sisters and brothers for other ethnicities that vote as Democrats, we do. But when you look at who overwhelmingly votes for Democrat, don't flirt around necessarily with the other party. Democrats, Black people overwhelmingly. 88%, 90%, some elections, 92, 96%. That's how we roll. So yeah, if the Black community gets a different wants to go in a different direction, it's a wrap. Niche, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, please forgive me. Oh, so in terms of, Danny, let me go back. So yeah, starting organizations is a beautiful thing. So I just gave you an example of an organization that's very progressive. They just launched this year. So if you go to Aura blackparty.org, OUR blackparty.org, and check out them sisters and brothers. But yeah, we should start our own things, no doubt. Nina, what do you think should be done in order to bring forward future leaders to come together, organize, and eventually seize power legitimately through the polls? We got to start before it's time to vote. There's an African proverb that says that one must never build their shield on the battlefield, and it's shield building time. A lot of times we're acclimated, especially in this society, when they want to knock and drag people to the polls. Voting is vitally important, and especially for the African American community, because I'm using that from a culture, from a historic standpoint, because it was denied. That right to vote was denied. Yes, there was a point in time where it was denied to white women in this country, Black women, all women by extension, denied. And so the whole acculturation, how we were socialized about the power of the ballot box. It runs deep in a different way for the African American community than any other community. And it still holds true today. It's in our psyche, it's in our makeup. I want to add to that that voting is only one part of the process to be an engaged citizen. You have to be engaged all times beyond the ballot box. You got to watch, you have to critique, you have to challenge. That is what is necessary. In a democracy, a representative democracy, we are a republic, a representative democracy, the people must watch the people we elected to hold our power. We have to check systems run amok. All of these things are happening because the majority of us are not making the damn demand, as Brother Frederick Douglass said. Power concedes nothing without a demand. So one of the things, and I'm going to go back and quote my brother Michael Render, Killer Mike, because he said it best. And when you got something that works, you just say it. But he created his message to people who want to organize that you must plot, plan, organize, strategize, mobilize, and capitalize. And it's a type of work that can be thankless. It is a type of work that might not yield fruit immediately. Most often it doesn't. Sometimes you're working on an issue that gets you there right away. And sometimes you're working on an issue where it takes a little more time. So when I think about local initiatives, and while I'm speaking about local, let us not get so caught up. There are other elections other than the presidential election. Some state secretary of states, the legislature in all these states, secretary of states where they're on the ballot. There are some states where the governor appoints the secretary of state. It's not the only election happening. And so if we do want a progressive or future, we have to make the requisite investments on all levels of government. Not just what is happening in the Congress and not just what's happening in the presidency. Gubernatorial races, all of those races, prosecutors, attorney generals, all of that stuff matters to the whole. But back to the, yes, plot, plan, organize, strategize, mobilize, and capitalize. That is what we must do, and we must do it at all times. So those of us who are in movement work must come to grips with the fact that it never ends. But many hands, I'm giving a lot of African proverbs tonight, many hands make for light work. And that's why it's going to take all of us to decide what is our role. Everybody shouldn't be doing the same thing. We need some people in the streets. We need some people behind the scenes. We need some people who are going to run for office. We need some people who are going to stay in both of these parties. We need some people who are going to be outside raising hell. It is those forces. It is the yin and the yang that makes the whole. We have to get fed up. You guys remember when our Puerto Rican sisters and brothers, and that governor was found out what he was doing, that he was corrupt? Y'all remember that? I'm old enough to remember it. And he said clearly, I'm not going anywhere. Our sisters and brothers in Puerto Rico, hey, they stood up. They said, oh no, brother, you going. And guess what? He had to go. We need to do more of that. And we have examples of that all over the world where the people rise up and make the demand and then be willing to make sure that there's a consequence for that demand, electoral consequence for that demand, a system change. And that is why we do need people in the streets, but we also need people behind the scenes. We need people to run for office. We have to get the power. That's really what this is about. This is a power proposition, just plain and simple. Power, who has it and how they wield that power. Do they wield that power on behalf of the people? Or do they wield that power for special interests, your special interests? Why don't they treat the poor? Please follow and support Reverend William Barber, who has resurrected the Poor People's Campaign that was started by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reverend Barber has the 21st century version of that. So there's so much we can do. There's so many organizations that already exist that are really truly doing the work of the people that we can unite behind. And then hell, if there's something out there that's not doing the thing the way you want to see it done, you create an organization. That's what we can do. A plot, plan, organize, strategize, organize, mobilize, and then capitalize. That the pursuit to freedom is continuous. It never, ever ends. I liken it to the 440 relay. Now, your sister Turner, sister S&T, I ran track. I was pretty good too. But the example that I want to use from my track days is the 440, the relay race. It required a team. It required being in sync with one another. Everybody had a role to play, those 4 legs of the race. Now I was the first leg. That means sister was fast. And what is the job of the first leg? To get the lead. I want you to think about what we are fighting for. We want to get the lead for humanity. Various ways to do that. Medicare for all, college for all. Reforming the criminal justice system that, as many of my sisters and brothers in that particular movement have reminded me, Charlemagne the God is one. He put out something on his Instagram, I think it was today, that the system is working as it was designed to do. So let's not fool ourselves. Other people put that message out too. But so whatever that high-minded issue, I want you to think about it. So the first leg of the race, their job is to get the lead for their teammate who they have to pass the baton to. I want you to think about those runners as generations. First leg of the race, trying to get the lead for humanity on what is just, right, and good. Pass the baton to the second leg of the race. What is their job? To keep the lead and advance it. Not to stay in the same place, not to just hold steady, no, to advance the lead. Then they synchronize with because they practice this, right? Because you could pass the baton too fast or too slow, it will drop. The second leg of the race passes the baton to the third leg. What is their job? To keep the lead and advance the lead. And then you got the anchor watching her teammates, ready to take that baton. And not only keep the lead, advance the lead, but cross the finish line. The only difference between a 440 relay race and what we're embarking upon, what we are engaged in right now, is that it never ends. Every generation continues to pass it forever. Get the lead. Keep the lead. Advance the lead for what is just, for what is right, and for what is good. Hello, somebody. Oh my God, it is 7:56. So happy that all of you spent this hour with us, the team. We are so appreciative of you. I said when I close, let me check, see if my team sent me any one last more question. Oh no, Anna Mae is just telling me it's time to, Senator, you've been working all day. She says, time to go and wrap that on up. She sent me a smiley face. I'm wrapping it up, Anna Mae. I needed this. I don't know how many of you needed this. I missed the 3D version of being out there on the stump, but I'm glad that we got a chance to do this in 2D. No matter what you're going through right now in life, I want you to keep the faith, your kind of faith. And I do want you to believe that as much as there are bad things happening in society, in this country, and in the world, that there is indeed promise in the problem. Some things can happen overnight, some things will not. I want you to think about what you can do as an individual and then what we can do as community to fight for what is just, for what is right, and for what is good, to fight for. There'll be some things to fight for, some things to fight against. You can't always be fighting against something. We got to fight for something. Take some time for yourself, wherever that place is, whether it's meditation or reading a scripture or reading a quote or hugging somebody that's in your household that you know ain't got COVID. Let's take care of one another in that way. Let's do what we need to do. Dang, I miss all of that. So I want to close with this, and we are going to do this again. Love you, Patreon members. I really do. Again, cannot thank you enough for believing in us, believing in this team, believing in the vision and the mission. So Grandma's 3 bones. My grandmother, as I stated earlier, was born in 1915. She couldn't read or write, but she could count her money. And she often kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust. You know, that bank account right here. Grandma kept it in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust. And when I asked my grandmother, what does it take to be successful in life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones: the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. The wishbone, she said, is for hoping and praying. Hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. Hope on, dream on. The jawbone will give you the courage to speak truth to power, to lift your voice, to get out there, do your thing, do you. Be a part of the collective good that wants to fight for and sometimes fight against, but lift your voice. Your voice matters. See, titles are good, but purpose is better. Grandma didn't say that. I said that. Titles are good, but purpose is better. We need more purpose-driven people. And then the people who do have the fancy titles, we need them to use those titles on behalf of humanity. And not just for themselves or their friends and their friends' friends, but to use it to lift. Lastly, the third bone, which is the backbone, the suprafragilocalistic bone, the most important bone of them all. Because the backbone will keep us standing through all of our trials and our tribulations. We cannot have a testimony without a test. And God knows we are being tested in the 21st century to determine whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, capacity enough to do what it is we know we need to do in our time for ourselves, for younger generations and for future generations yet unborn. So know this, we are in a valley moment. We're going to get to that mountaintop moment together. So much love, peace, happiness, determination. We're going to get through this. Love, power, keep the faith, and keep the fight. Loving you guys so very much, and we will do this again really, really soon. God, I wish I had Anime, Tina, Joel. I wish I had my Hello Somebody song. Y'all know what? Hold on. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I don't know. It might not sound right. Daggone it, we should have played. I just thought of that. Oh, my Lord. If you guys have not heard that, I want you to go and listen to that song. A young rapper, up and coming, named Famous, created that song especially for this podcast. And I am very grateful to this creation. It is wonderful, lovely. Jesus, I wish I had thought about this earlier, because I would have had my speakers ready. So y'all probably won't be able to hear this too well, but I'm gonna play it anyway as we. It's 2 minutes long. What the hell happened? Oh, keep watching. Okay. Yeah, change is coming, the pain is numbing. Try to shoot for the stars if you gon' aim for something. Embrace the love for your brother and sister. Unity's the missing brush, we need to puzzle this picture. Let's paint it up, frame it up for the world to see. Hang the hatred up. Enough is enough, making changes on us. And Turner, a voice of the truth, her wise words inspire the youth to keep their eyes on the roof. It's the end, never give up, keep conquering goals. To the eye, intelligence silver, wisdom is gold. Back to the end, now it's your time, stay firm, don't fold. To the A, all you need is the three bones, that's what Granny said. Now I'ma make sure these words from Granny spread. For all the here, just give it your ear. She can take them to the promised land, I swear. World peace is what they fear. From Queens to Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, famous. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Oh my God. Thank y'all for indulging me. If you want to hear that song, oh Lord, I'm still playing the song. Let me get out of there. If you want to hear that song a little clearer, better, go to my Instagram, Nina Turner, Ohio, and it is there. Big shout out to famous young up and coming rapper Hello Somebody. Made that song especially for us. So I want to say hello somebody, because everybody is somebody. Thank you for indulging me, and I hope everybody has a tremendous night. Bye.